And we are back with Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. I am your host, Kev, and we are laughing our way through the end of the world. That's what it feels like. We just, I'm in here in studio, on YouTube, on the radio, on Twitch, on Facebook, everywhere, with former school board candidate, current far-right extremist, in quotes, of course, that's sarcastic, Mollie Emery.
Hello.
Talking all about what we need to be doing to help our children in a world that seems to want to force them to grow up too fast, to put it lightly, and groom our children in some cases. And in one way that they're coming after not only our kids, but even just women in general. Women in general is they want biological men to play in women's sports. So this is a topic. Everybody, you're listening to Speechless. I don't even know if I said that, but I'm your host, Kev Phares. You're listening to Speechless. We just have so much to cover. I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit. But we have House Bill, Save Women's Sports Bill, that you guys might have heard about. It's also been deemed like an anti-trans bill, whatever. No, it's a pro-women bill, if you want the facts. Save Women's Sports Bill passes House with 0 votes from Democrats who call it transgender, quote, bullying. This is out of Fox News. The House on Thursday passed legislation aimed at preventing biological males from competing as transgender athletes in girls and women's sports at schools across the country, after a debate in which several Democrats accused Republicans of, quote, bullying transgender students by calling up the bill. The Protection of Women and Girls Sports Act passed in a 219 to 203 vote Thursday morning. All of the yes votes came from Republicans and all of the no votes came from Democrats. Republicans defended the bill as an attempt to spare women and girls from having to compete against transgender women and girls, so biological males, who can sometimes dominate these sports and prevent some female athletes from making the team. But several Democrats argued in debate that the GOP bill is an extension of bullying that transgender students are already facing at school. Greg Landsman, who's a Democrat out of Ohio, said, "This is about bullying children. Stop bullying children." That's what he said. Sorry, I'm getting loud there for you, Mom.
Kevin is fired up.
And then Robert Garcia, who's a Democrat out of California, said, "House Republicans are choosing to bully and belittle trans children. This is about attacking a small group of children, and it's shameful." No, it's not about attacking a small group of children. It's about defending women, real women, biological women. Pramila Jayapal, the Democrat from Washington, said, "We should rename it the Cancel Kids Trans Hate Bill."
Like, what?
It doesn't even make sense.
Okay.
This bill fuels a virulent hate campaign against kids who just want to play with their friends.
Not true.
Not true.
Okay.
Not true. What we're trying to do as Republicans and conservatives is protect women. The sad thing is this bill is actually going to have to come back into play because Joe Biden, according to this article and according to just almost every other news source, House passage sends this bill to the Senate, where Democrat leaders are unlikely to take it up. And President Biden has said he would veto the bill if it makes it to his desk. So Democrats are adherently against women. That's the clear thing. I'm a feminist icon. That's what we've learned, because I want to protect real women from having to get absolutely clobbered by men in sports. I mean, there's so much with this. I want Mollie to give her opinion on it, but I want to be clear too. So a Republican, Greg Stube from Florida, said Congress in 1972 created Title IX to protect women's sports, to enable women to have an equal playing field in athletics.
Preach.
He sponsored the Protection of Women and Girls in Sports Act and said, quote, "In worship to their trans idols, the administration wants to flip Title IX on its head, and it is insane."
Yeah, like what happened to feminism? Like for real.
Yeah.
So why is this a Republican, Democrat? Why is this anything? Why aren't all people saying Title IX exists for a reason? And again, common sense. This is a theme I come back to frequently. I have 3 kids. I have girls and a boy. And like, I wouldn't say at some point, like, Isla, you can play football just like your brother equally. Like that's, my daughter is so capable, guys. She's smart. She's feisty. She's actually far more competitive than my son, and she will do amazing things. But it is okay to acknowledge that they are different, right? And so I feel like it is such an insult to expect these women to try to compete with something that, like, they're separate for a reason.
Hmm.
And it
Absolutely.
just diminishes, like, all of the progress that was actually made, um, to allow for women to pursue sports and all of the success that they have and worked hard for. It's not bullying. And honestly, that's such a garbage thing to say. Like,
Absolutely.
what you're doing is bullying. So I mean, I feel like it's just like it's the Twilight Zone. Like everything's upside down and nothing matters. Like, it is not okay to allow that to happen and to watch, you know, you're bullying these girls basically.
No, absolutely. And the other thing too is so there's a few things I want to rebut in this. So the first is and this isn't necessarily a comment made in the article or from anybody out there, but this is something I hear, and it's something that seems to be ignored by a lot of these Democrats, is that most biological it's not it's a generalization, but it's true, is that biologically men are more aggressive um and more built to play sports.
Well, I mean, from an
Period.
anatomy standpoint, so, yes, like,
Mhm.
women are the contents of what we're made from is different.
Yep.
One of the things I did for years was, biometric screenings for hospital staff, and the allotment of body fat that women were allowed was significantly higher than men. It's
Mhm.
because I've made and built multiple humans. I've fed them from my body,
Yep.
and my husband hasn't. And so I just like, guys, this isn't new. And
No,
it's
it isn't.
not bullying to say, no, that's not fair. And you
Mhm.
shouldn't be made to feel like you're a bully for saying, my daughter can't compete with that. Like,
Yeah.
that's not
Well,
fair.
and even like provably, Leah Thomas, everybody knows Leah Thomas, who was born William Thomas, who's the swimmer out of Penn State, ranked when he was swimming with men, as he was biologically supposed to do, ranked 65th among men in the 500-yard men's freestyle. Which I'll be honest, 65th. It's not like amazing. It's not first, but if you're ranking that high, that's actually still pretty an accomplishment. But
Better than probably what I'm gonna do.
exactly, exactly. But it still wasn't good enough for William, and so he became Leah, and now has won, like blows every woman out of the water, and that's what's pushed Riley Gaines up, NCAA champion swimmer Riley Gaines, to who had competed against Thomas, now looking to also defend women's sports. People are trying to defend women's sports. And the other thing that I wanted to rebut as well is the claim from one of these Democrats in here. I'm trying to find it again, but said that they say this bill is about bullying children. They also say that this is a hate campaign from kids who just want to play with their friends. This is the problem that people are pushing, is that they claim there have been multiple news articles that I say they don't say it explicitly, but they hint at this idea that this bill is meant to make it so trans kids can't play sports. That's not true. It's saying that you should have to play the sport that you with the sex that you were born as. So no, you can claim you're a woman all you want, but if you were born a man, you have to play sports with men. You can still play sports. You can still play sports with your friends, but it just has to be with the sex gender that you were born with. And so I want to ask you, Molly.
Yeah,
You have a daughter.
I do. I have
And
two. I have
yeah,
a
you have
couple.
you have 2 daughters. You have 2 daughters.
Yeah.
Would you let your daughter, play in a sport against a a man who pretends to be a woman?
Yeah. So the thing about my middle, because that's who's
Mhm.
coming to mind, she'll be 6 this summer. I like I said, she has leadership skills. So and she's also extremely competitive and smart as a whip. And she's someone that I could see kind of sticking to her convictions and saying like that's not fair.
Mhm.
Um she'll tell me all the time right now, that's not fair. Mom, you told me this and that's not what we're doing. So this isn't fair. And so I hope that those things that I'm instilling in her now, come up later. And I've read different stories about different teams that said, no, we're not going to do that. And so I think my hope for her would to be to possess that ability to say, like, this doesn't seem right.
Mhm.
Like, this isn't fair. And hope that if she's in college or in a professional career or whatever, that she
Would make that
would
decision.
make that decision. Yeah.
Mhm. Well, that's good. And the thing is it's not the other thing that was mentioned in this article is that they claim it's about bullying. It's not necessarily about bullying and singling anyone out. It's about protecting the women that are there because while it's claimed that this is just a hate campaign against a small group of children, um, even the thing is that so Leah Thomas is one biological male
Mhm.
swimming in the NCAA Division One against hundreds of biological women and winning. It doesn't matter if it's one person who pretends to
Right.
be the other gender or if it's 500.
Right.
In their sport, they dominate. I mean, look at there's MMA fighters that we've
Yeah.
seen. I pulled up a few weeks ago on my show a video of a man pretending to be a woman going up against a woman, broke the woman's skull
Yeah.
in
Mhm.
an MMA fight.
I just feel like this is like, guys, it's okay that we're different. Like, we
Hmm.
do different things. Like I said, like, and like, that's okay. Like, things that I've got to do that my husband's never done, build 3 human beings. And you know what? Like, is he way bigger and way stronger than me? Yes. But like, I did this amazing thing that he could never do.
Hmm.
And so, like, it doesn't have to be what we're making it out to be. Like, there's a reason these things are separate and that's okay.
And I think that's that's the overarching theme of all this is that the whole transgender ideology pushes this idea that men and women are interchangeable,
Yeah.
which is not true. We know that not to be true. And there is a place for men and women in society, and it's not equal on all levels. That's the thing. And the lefties are going to be out here saying, "Well, Kevin Ferris thinks that men are better than women." That's not true.
No.
Women develop faster than men,
Yeah.
mentally and physically. They tend to develop faster than men. Men tend to be more assertive. Men are more likely to ask for a raise than women. There are things that are different biologically about us, and there is nothing you can do to change that.
And it doesn't have to be like, I don't have to be like, well, I need to bench as much as my husband. Like, no, like I get baffled by some of these arguments because I think what that does, Kevin, is it draws focus away from the incredible abilities that I do have.
Hmm.